Recording. Okay. So the important thing for I think people to go ahead and remember is that, on today, I think we are at Plexi, what day are we right now? Day 57, 58? I think we're at 58. Okay. Day 58, 58, yeah, we're at 58. So bagged another offer, same thing, same negotiating tactic. And if you guys have noticed, pretty much everybody from like Sean, Sandy, Shravani, Kurtwish, Lawrence, I'm losing count of a few other people. We'll get some of the newer folks here access to full resources. But okay, yeah, this is day 57. So today would be day 58 of the challenge. Um, that people have been seeing that's been on these calls coming in here consistently, Austin. I ride Austin like crazy. Consistently putting out the numbers. They've been able to go out there bagging multiple offers, bagging multiple offers. The ones they call is 100% dedicated towards like just the interview portion of it. Coming in here with questions, basically just following the whole blueprint and just making sure staying consistent on that. They've been able to go out there and get out of there. So people are still hiring. People are still hiring for higher rates. It's just you got to go out there and give people a reason to give you a better number than just a number that, as I mentioned earlier in the call pre-recording, every single question that people ask right here is going to be very selfishly motivated by what is it that they want. And if people feel like you're going to help them get what they want, then they're going to go ahead and give you a yes to whatever it is that you need to go ahead and say yes to. Um, and that's actually I'm actually going to be covering that on an interview next week, which is how to deliver a killer interview. That'll be next week's session. Because I just went through this training here. Um, Freaking Korea is freaking content capital of the world. That they're talking about how to deliver a killer YouTube video. And they're like, basically, every 30 seconds, you need to give them a reason to keep on like going to the next round, the next round, the next round, the next round. And the guy was like, he's like, this kid was amazing. He was like, in music, you guys never see the best track as the first track. It's always the second, third, fourth track. If you go on a date, you never go to the best restaurant first. You really shouldn't, because he's like, you can't follow up from that. You want to keep it at round three, round four. So he's like, you have to go ahead and actually build up, build up, build up, build up. And I was like, oh man, so much of this information is actually how we train you guys how to interview, but I've never actually really looked at it like that. And then he was just like, and then you got to follow it up with this social proof statement. Like this has worked for like all these other people that kind of dragged the risk down. That was actually part of our negotiating tactic with the offer. And that actually kind of worked out. And he was like, that's how the human brain is actually conditioned. I had a personal one-on-one chat with them, drafted up some notes. I'll be making a video and then we'll kind of role play the scenario out. But it really is that where he's just like again and again and again, where you have to do this. He analyzed a speech from Trump. And then he also analyzed a speech from, President Yoon pre-martial law, and the guy just freaking lost his damn mind. But I'll actually present you guys that next week in a more formatted way. But Wednesday's dedicated towards interviews. Monday's dedicated towards like getting the interviews. And then of course the Thursday, anybody that wants updates on the resumes or like anything goes. But Wednesdays is really interviews and case studies. For some of the newer folks here, like we did a case study a few weeks ago, how to how to sell Japanese maple trees. I can't believe Lawrence actually got that as a case study. But if you guys also have case studies that you guys want to bring in, the earlier the better. Like I said, I'm not human chat GPT. I am an Asian yet now. And yes, unlike a professional athlete, it is part of the customary culture here to get wildly intoxicated almost every single night. Uh, but I'm fluid right now. But with that said, people still getting offers. What interview questions do you guys have? Let's just go ahead and take 2 seconds. Is go out there, pop it into the chat. If you guys can get it into the chat. And honestly speaking, I think that's actually one major habit that we had with everybody that took offers was like they had a list of questions ready to go. So if you're coming into these calls thinking, like, oh, what should I ask Rich today? You're kind of like planning to be here for another week. Like you guys should be coming into this call like this is the last time I'm going to freaking see this guy. Uh, so let's take a second here to just go ahead and draft up, pile up all the interview questions. I have a hard stop today because we got another offer in exactly like 45 minutes, but people are taking offers, and I hope that's like a morale boost for everybody that's just thinking like, is product management dead? It's very much alive. And then the last thing that I wanted to go out there and drop was everybody, please go ahead and pop this in here.
I was gonna throw it out there that I have not interviewed in like over a year,
Uh,
and can definitely use some practice. If anyone is looking to do like mock interviews.
yes, it's also another habit of, actually I'll get to that in a second here. Whatchamacallit? Uh,
I think I certainly would bomb one if I tried to do one now.
nah, don't even have that kind of mindset. We just dropped episode 2 of our podcast on how to become a tech influencer. Your boy Sean here is on it. Everybody watch it. We were basically studying like how Chloe She prints $1.2 million a year off of her YouTube. I want to see all y'all as product management influencers. I want you guys making passive income. You guys been playing this game called Life on Hard mode too long. But it was a fantastic episode. We looked at all the product management influencers, what YouTube channels they have, what are the YouTube topics that are like getting like huge views, kind of like the format of how they scripted it out. Uh, yeah, so definitely everybody wants to go ahead and check that out. But 100%, I think mock interview, that was the other thing too that I noticed is just people like willing to go out there and put themselves out there. Like Sean and Lawrence, they full on just recorded like a mock interview between themselves. And you kind of have to watch how bad you are, like it's a success habit in sales. When I was working in IT staffing, they made us listen to our own cold calls. The team that did it always outperformed the other team. Even athletes, one of the key success drivers is like actually reviewing your performance from previous games and practice. So you would see like, a Kobe, a Jordan, or like a Tom Brady, they're always watching their own footage. I can give you guys as much coaching as you guys want, but you guys have to actually like see yourself too. Um, and then I always get the pushback of like, well, Rich, like, but can I record? Like, let's get to the bottom of it. You don't want to listen to it. My YouTube videos got a lot better when I started watching my YouTube videos too. And people were like, you've been putting out 8 years of content. I was like, I've been putting out 8 years of content without watching my own YouTube videos. Like, you can't pay me to do that shit. But it's horrible, like watching myself. But actually, after I did that, it actually did really improve the overall performance of our YouTube channel as well. Um, so let's see here. All right, I'm going to get to the questions one by one. Um, okay, yeah, everybody should really have on their success calendar like minimum hitting like one mock interview. Like, especially if you're full-time job hunting, hit like one mock interview like a day or like at least two, you know. Uh, you know, I think like Shivani, she did like 5 offers before she interviewed with Amazon. She was battle hardened going in there. She's just straight battle hardened. That's what you want. Uh okay. So like where are the questions? I don't see any of the questions in the meeting chat. Okay. Tips for winning the round one. What else? Is that it? Tips for winning round one. Julia asked if she could do mock interviews right now. Hang on. You mean like right now? We could totally do it. I'm here for y'all, dude. Like, Michael being such a
I'm literally in the car.
uh your car. Oh. Okay, so I only got one question from Austin, which is like tips for winning round ones.
I guess I had a question.
Can you
So,
pop it into the chat?
okay, okay.
Unless you're driving. Unless you're driving. Uh, biggest L is in round ones. That's where you guys got to get the biggest wins. Ba, 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 ba. What is the biggest mistake?
Well, okay, this might be a lot to type.
Oh,
Um,
okay, please, please. All right, you're in the
I'll
car.
try to keep it brief. I
Uh-huh.
I just am like I have 4 years of work experience out of college,
Uh-huh.
but it's not in product management, so I'm like transitioning. And when I'm applying to these jobs, like some of them will say like looking for 10 years product experience. Would you recommend like not even applying to those? Because I feel like that's a stretch.
I would 100% recommend applying to those because you miss 100% of the shots that you just don't take. You have to believe that you're the best. I think like, everybody here has to believe that they're the best product manager, like better than every product manager here. Just try to keep it respectful. But of course, like the number itself, to tell you the truth, when I was in recruiting, we just we would just copy and paste we would just copy and paste the job description from competitor roles. Like if I was recruiting for Venmo, we would just copy and paste the job description from Zelle. This is pre-ChatGPT, and I'm telling you guys right now, ain't no hiring manager got the time to go out there and draft up a job description. Ain't nobody trying to draft up a job description. So like,
Yeah, I didn't know how often like
yeah, yeah.
that's a set, I
I know.
guess, number
Like
that they
people are
stick
just,
to.
yeah, don't even worry about the years is actually a lot of the things on the job description. Um, a lot of the things like so I would say like some of the biggest myths of like getting the product manager job is actually thinking that the job description is actually real. A lot of the job description was actually designed for you guys to not apply. So like because they get so many applicants, it's like to deter people away. So you guys have to think like, okay, like it's 10 years. I'm just gonna go ahead and apply to it anyways. Cool. Mm, Let's see here. Okay, all the questions are basically in. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and let's get ready to do that. What's that? Oh, I'm gonna practice on working a little bit smarter and not harder myself. Okay, so every single time I get done with these, I just like go straight into like lying down. I'm gonna definitely turn this thing all into like mini content now. Okay, so we have 10:21 right now on the clock, Plexi. Let's go ahead and actually go and drag this thing out. All right, so the first question that I basically have, they're the following questions right now. I have one from Austin, which is how to like any tips on winning the round ones. I guess that was in the round ones. What's a strong way to go out there and answer? Tell me about a time when you failed. I started talking about a competitor's product instead of the org I was interviewing with. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, so we got about a few questions here. Okay. So I think the first question, let's go ahead and get to the question with Austin. Like, how do you go ahead and actually win the round one? the first thing that you have to actually keep in mind is that the round one is basically where you're going to win, determines a lot whether or not you're going to actually get this job. Most people ask me, like, Rich, like, how do I go out there and close for like the interview? Um, like, I'm going to the final round all the time, but I'm like, they don't give me a rejection email. I don't actually have an offer letter. There's no DocuSign. So essentially speaking, that's what we call it in recruiting, called getting friend zoned, which is like you're kind of like in this
Sure.
like, this limbo, right? And it's largely because you did not go ahead and cover why they wanted to go out there and hire for this role, and actually what are all of their reservations and hiring for this role. So you need to actually ask during round one, you need to focus more on their problems, which is like, hey, always go back to the same questions over and over again. What was it about my resume that stood out to you so much that prompted you to go ahead and schedule a call with me? What was it about my resume? You have to first understand your product market fit in an organization before you actually start pitching yourself, because you could be a lot of things to a lot of people. We get calls, and, to be honest here, because I have the results, I don't really have to feel like I have to hold back. We get calls from the biggest assholes ever. So what's product chip? So how many interviews are you doing? Immediately establish control, right? You have to figure out like what is it that they need. And I don't really mean that they try to like be that way, but it's just like they're burnt out too. So you got to understand they kind of come into these calls a little bit jaded. And sometimes we take that personally when it's just something else that's going on in their life. Please don't go ahead and do so. So the first thing I always go ahead and ask is, well, what was it about my resume? And you got to ask it very curiously. So when you guys are role playing and mock interviewing out there, so you guys are a great group, it's like, so I'm very curious, what was it about my resume that stood out to you guys so much that prompted you to go ahead and schedule a call with me? What was it about my resume that stood out so much to you guys that prompted you to schedule an interview with me today? Because clearly there are a lot of candidates out there. We have to be like sometimes humble enough to go out there and think on the other side that there's so many other people that they can talk to. The second question that we really need to ask is, ideally, in a perfect world, what type of relationship would you like to have with the incoming product manager? So people love talking about fantasies, right? Gets people hot. That's exactly where we want them. We want to keep them hot. Ideally, I would like to do nothing. That's actually what most head and directors of product actually want to say, is like, ideally, I'd rather go ahead and actually do nothing with my time. 100%. Okay. Well, like in addition to basically that, the other question that you also want to go ahead and cover is, what pisses you off the most about your job right now? And how do you feel the next product manager can help out? People love talking about anger. You talk about like, hey, what do you want Tinder to build for me? I don't know. You talk about what you don't like about Tinder. Oh man, they won't shut the up. Why? People love ranting. All they do is go on their hate rant, right? People love reaffirming, and it's just like give them some praise. I imagine right now you're so overworked. I imagine right now you're
Talking
so
seriously.
right? Like you're so overworked. Like, how are you managing everything? Like, where do you feel like the next product manager can come in and help out? You don't need a lot of questions. These are pretty much the only ones that you really need to drop. I obviously can come up with more, but overall, in terms of the round one, is really understanding, where is this person that I'm at emotionally? Like we just talked about right now, how did we get a 165K offer to a 190K offer, right? We get air this thing out right now, and I don't think a lot of people can replicate it, strictly because it's just like when you hear, I want like 200, 250. What I'm hearing is you trying to rob me. What you're saying is I don't want to get ripped off. You see? This doesn't like present like a win-win situation. So love them or hate them, you got to think, President Trump, like art of the deal. Let me sum it up for you guys. You got to think about what's going to go out there and make you happy, right? That conversation doesn't really start at the negotiating table when you're trying to get the salary rate that you guys are wanting. You guys are that's like at the very beginning. Yeah, I think that's actually why my boss, when I got into recruiting straight out of college, he was like, "This freaking Chinese kid's a natural." And I think like Asian people naturally always think about like getting what they want, but my dad's an entrepreneur too. Is like, all right, so this is what you want, right? Let me tell you why giving me what I want is going to get you what you want. You always have to figure out what do they want. So yesterday I was on a call with Cal and we talked about the recruiter call, right? Okay, like when you're talking to a recruiter, okay, I really need can you give me a little bit more information about the role? Because either I'm going to go ahead and be the right fit, or I'm going to refer you to one of my friends who's going to be a better fit, right? Immediately, we're just thinking about like, what's all the things that are pissing them off. So instead of like thinking, oh, how am I going to go out there and game the round one? I'm taking the biggest L's in the round one. Like, I want to get off of this job hunt. Just understand this too. Um, when you come into the round one, understand this too. They're trying to like not do any more round one interviews as well. Like anybody that's been on the hiring side, interviewing is the most viciously biggest waste of time ever. That's why like most of the people that we hire here at our company are just through like referrals. And that's actually why if you have a network, like, it's great to go ahead and use it. But also a lot of people don't, what a lot of people say don't realize is like a lot of your referrals, they don't really go to bat for you because when I was a recruiter, they'll just be like, yeah, this is my friend Austin. Like, don't interview him if you don't want to. But I felt like, he's my bro, so I had to like give him your resume. But like, if you don't want to interview him, don't. I'm not trying to take responsibility, you know? So I think like in terms of round one, just those three questions, definitely we're gonna have this video chopped up. If you guys watch this thing afterwards, like you guys have to like really practice that empathy aspect of it, especially like for what we do right now. We talk to so many people that's like already been impacted by the layoffs and they're kind of burnt down. They're like, yo, I have nothing coming in and you're trying to like take some more out? Like, no, we got to present. We got to present it as like, no, 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 no. Actually, we put more cash actually into your pocket. Oh. That's actually how I train mites because I can't get to every single call right now. Look at the number of people that are like looking for work every single week, right? I actually train my team like instead of thinking about hitting quota, like when you guys are getting on with them, like think about like where they're coming from. They're trying to get off of this as soon as possible too. So yeah, so round one, think about that. Let's talk about like, what's a strong way to go out there and answer, tell me about a time you failed. This is I love this question because very clear, concise questions like this makes it very easy for me to go ahead and answer a question. So now we are at 10:30. So like, all right, so what's a strong way to go ahead and tell me about a time you failed? Failed. You want to know Donald Trump's three rules of winning, Sean? Number one, attack, attack, attack. Number two, you never admit failure. You always claim victory. Okay, like if they're gonna go ahead and ask you this, like, Rich, can you tell me about a time when you failed? This is now a behavioral question. Behavioral question means we got to go back to the STAR framework. And if we want to talk about the STAR framework, we have to reference the right situation, the right task, the right action, the right result. So I was like, immediately I wouldn't say failed. I would say this. Sean, that's a very good question. Tell you about a time when I actually failed. Okay, well, a time that I did, I don't know if you'd really call it a failure, but if it's something close to it, uh, the first 30 days when I transitioned over to my new team at Samsung, they had a different way of actually drafting up their go-to marketing plan that was very different than the previous team that I was a part of. And as a result, I realized, okay, this is a different way that they have to do things, and I wasn't going to be able to go ahead and actually do it the way that I did it before. I grabbed actually my manager at the time, kind of communicated to that person like, why do you guys why do you guys present the go-to marketing plan this way? And then as a result, within 2 weeks, I basically understood that in addition to this, in addition to them having a different way how they present to go-to-marketing strategies, they had a different way of managing backlogs. They had a different way of developing user personas. They had a different way of doing mockups and wireframes. I was actually able to adapt to all of their new processes within about 2 weeks. Very important about how to answer that question, any type of behavioral question. Let's talk about first things first is the S, situation. Situation refers to the time. The timing is very important. Okay. The first 30 days, I transitioned to this new team. The first 30 days of COVID, the first 30 days, you never want to talk about, oh, last week. Oh, failing is something we do all the time. Next. Why are you still making amateur mistakes as of 48 hours ago? Like, no, the first 30 days, because the first 30 days is your grace period. You're allowed to F up. So the first 30 days of COVID, everybody would have failed during that time. The first 30 days I joined a new team. The first 30 days they moved me to SF. The first 30 days I came to New York. The first 30 days, 100%, 100% the first 30 days, you know? And then you're talking about the actual like task that you did. Okay. Distance and difference. Okay. We don't want to talk about you never failed. They had a different way they did things. It was different. You guys notice Trump's I guess you just have a different way of doing things, but yeah, I wouldn't call that a failure. 100% different, different, different. You never ever want to say like, oh, I didn't know agile. Oh, like I failed because like if you went over there like, yeah, I took on the task of being the new email and marketing specialist because somebody had to leave. Um, and I thought these emails were good, and it went out, and it turned out we had the highest unsubscribe rate ever in the history of the company. I would say that was a time when I failed. Congratulations, you have just terminated. I literally walked the guy out there. Why would you do that? Amateur. They said it was okay. They lied to you. It's not okay. This is a country of winners. We don't like losers here in America. We want to win. It's different. Okay. And then you want to talk about like the time, the action, the specific action that you took. Does it matter? They want to know it was solved within 2 weeks. Right now is a time when we're throwing a lot of problems, right? If you're like, yeah, I took an email certification course. How long was the course? 12 weeks. So every single time you don't know how to do something, we have to send you to a 12-week program. I mean, we only got 52 weeks in a year. You're only going to learn 4 new skills in a year. And they're like, Rich, is that how negatively? Yes, that's how negatively they think. Man, they ain't trying to look at life on the positive side. That's what got them here in the first place. So it's like, yeah, like I went on ChatGPT, I went on YouTube, I went on TikTok, right? Like yesterday, me and Sean did the call on we're analyzing like, okay, they do this like a day in the life, and then I had my team scrape up like, it's like people want to learn hacks. Nobody values hard work. People love learn hackers. People are looking for cheat codes, you know? I mean, if we told people like you have to work hard to get a product manager job, ain't nobody be on this call right now. Do you know what I mean? Work hard. Rich, that's what I'm not trying to do, yo. I don't have a job right now, but I ain't trying to work hard. What are the tips, yo? I'm paying you for your 3 years of freaking recruiting for companies in Silicon Valley. Work hard. Man, you have me confused with somebody else. No. So like, and then at the end of the day, the result, did it help the company make more money, save more time? 95% of the people fail a behavioral question because they don't reference the result. And they're like, in the freaking interview panel, they're like, it's called the STAR framework for a freaking reason. We have a star. Okay. Literally, one of my friends from like recruiting called me up yesterday. He was like, they never give the R. And I was like, that's the problem. you know? So like, and the reason why we cared about this was like what, right? So like there's a lot of like parallels between like doing a good YouTube video. This is actually something I learned from my that YouTube class that I took from that kid. he's like, and like a movie, like there has to be some kind of good ending to like a K drama. There has to be some kind of reason why I watch this YouTube video. So like the reason, so what was the outcome? What was the closure? Like freaking people hate the Sopranos ending, right? If like there's just like, so did he die or did he not die? Just freaking give me that question, that answer, right? If you guys don't, and behavioral questions make up about like close to 90% of the interviews right now because the market's constantly changing. If you guys don't label the result, that's actually one of the biggest reasons why people are not getting the offer is because they're just like, they don't feel like the answer is complete because they're asking these questions to get an indicator of whether or not you would operate well under pressure. Because this is a high pressure environment to be working in product management. So if you have no result, I actually have no evidence of whether or not you would actually perform well on the job, in which case we just should not use this budget and actually spend that money on ourselves. When people call us, they're largely trying to make a determination too. And I give a lot of references to how we do things at Product Gym and at Elevate. Is there enough value where I should spend money, or can I get enough value to continue doing this on my own? Hiring teams are actually making that same decision when they're on the call. Like, is there enough value here for us to justify a hire, or can we get enough value off of this interview to just continue doing this on our own? And it's actually your responsibility to convince them that there's enough value here to justify a hire. Largely, though, if they couldn't, you guys are going to be back on the shop line and back on this call. Uh, okay, so Sean, hopefully that answers your question. I started talking about a competitor's product instead of the org I was interviewing with. What was the question to that, Michael, Mr. Stoy? Hmm. Uh, like, because that's all I see in the comment. Was it like in reference to one of the previous? Well, you let me know that. I'm gonna get to the next question from Vanessa. What was your weakness? That is actually like or describe one of your biggest weaknesses. That's another behavioral question where it judges on person's like behavior. Very similar, we can basically reference is like, well, one of my weaknesses I would say is during the first 30 days of COVID, one of my team, my UX researcher contracted COVID, coronavirus, and I essentially had to be the UX researcher. One of my weaknesses at that time was blah 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 blah. What I did to solve it was I learned UX research by watching YouTube videos. I took a look, I typed in like how to learn UX research quickly. I made a list of videos and then I basically well, ChatGPT didn't exist during that time of COVID, right? But I created like an overall like mental summary of it, and as a result, like we were able to go ahead and because the UX researcher, think about what's the outcomes for UX researcher, right? It's like, oh, we needed like this customer discovery report or whatever it was. Like I was able to go ahead and get it in time, even though we were playing with one team member down. So weaknesses, you don't also want to give out real weaknesses. You want to talk about, you know, off the top. That's the other thing too, as a forgiveness statement, is off the top of my head, you immediately put them at ease. And this is actually why like these interview calls, like these mock interview calls, like watch them through and through because like they're the same. You guys are getting the same questions like over and over and over again, and people are also asking me the same questions over and over again. So it's really like, are we like role playing these questions like effectively, right? So, you know, off the top of my head right now, if I had to describe one of my weaknesses during the first 30 days of COVID, I would say one of my biggest weaknesses at that time, indicator, no longer a weakness right now, at that time was this. As a result, I actually decided that I was going to do this. We also didn't have the time to send me to a certification program, so I had to learn it quickly. And as a result, and it took me about like 1 weekend of binge watching these videos. People love things that are fast. As a result, it helped the company make more money, save more money, save more time. Uh, okay.
I
Cool. Okay.
sorry, I was gonna say I've said a similar thing in an interview and they actually came back at me and said like, 'cause I kind of tried to say that I it was a weakness prior, and they told me that that wasn't an appropriate answer.
Got it. Well, I guess another answer that you can also just go out there and develop is, well, are you talking about one of my weaknesses like right now? This is a fun question. It's like, Off the top of my head right now, I try to be extremely present and intentional with my career and my life. I really can't think of any.
Yeah.
Like, honestly speaking, like, yo, it's the truth answer. Like it's truth answer. Uh, Somebody asked me what one of my weaknesses right now. I tell you, I'm a man of many flaws. Just can't think of any right now. Okay, what's the best way to go out there and answer the question, why are you looking to leave your current company? I think my answer of looking for more experience may be shooting me in the foot or making me look less experienced, 100%. So if you're saying that you're trying to get more experience, like you never want to make the any interview question, you never want to make it about you. You want to always make it about the company. So before the interview, I always recommend for people look up something on their Instagram, look up something, look up something that is on their YouTube, look up something that's on their LinkedIn, what's happening recently. You want to always make it seem like you are applying specifically for this role and this role only, and you are looking nowhere else. Because that just makes them seem like because it diverts the attention from like why should we hire you to why you are excited to join this company. And they're always posting something. Every company is posting something on Instagram or like YouTube every single day, right? And if they have nothing to be posted, then like it's not a company you want to work at anyways. But like, you know, so if you're asking me like, okay, why are you looking? And this is actually good, like if like for me to give like more specific references, like tell me about like a specific company that you guys are gunning for, right? So if you actually brought in a company right here, I'll show you right now. What we do here is we just do a quick Google News search about what's going on with the company recently because Google News pulls all the resources basically from every single online media platform. And it's, like honestly speaking, I wouldn't say that I'm looking to leave my current position. However, when I saw this role posted, it was just too good to not apply to. I mean, recently you have decided to just like, I've been a big fan of Uber from the very beginning, and I see that you guys are actually like launching right now overseas in Canada and the UK. I would love to go ahead and be a part of that mission. Or I would love to be a part of this mission of like helping you whatever it is, like there was like a diabetes app that somebody interviewed for the job for and got it right. As somebody who's has family members that has diabetes, I was wow, I downloaded the app onto my iPhone and actually showed it to a few of my relatives, and I actually I made an actual like I wouldn't say it's like a customer feedback report, but generally this is some of the overall like likes and dislikes that they actually told me. I'm 100% bought into your mission because diabetes is a huge problem that we're combating in America, and I would love to be a part of that mission. So it's never like I'm looking to leave because things aren't going well here. Like I said, you never admit defeat and you always claim victory. So you want to go ahead and talk about, I want to be a part of your mission. At the end of the day, what they want is a value add in their team member, right? So right now on the job, they're all not trying to end up on a call like this. So they're thinking if we have this much food left, we got like 18 loaves of bread, a few can of Campbell's, and a frozen pack of dumplings somewhere in the freezer. Like, should we go ahead and ration that up amongst ourselves? Or does adding like an Izzy or Kel or Sean here, does that give us a little bit more of an advantage to maybe get two more loaves of bread tomorrow, right? So that's the thing. Like we're buying dollars at a discount is like, all right, like how are we going to leverage our time and our resources right now? Um, and that's the thing. You have to make it seem, and legitimately speaking, you have to be a real value add on the team, or all of you guys are on this call in 6 months, anyways. Nobody right now getting a job Nobody right now getting a job is for stability. If you guys seen some people come back into the program, you're all just renting. Like, it's like owning a house in LA. It's not a question of if your house is going to catch on fire. It's just when. All right. Unless you guys want to move way south. That's just a fact. So like, you have to have that mindset too. And at the same time, you turn it around on them and then also ask them about what's going on with the situation. Because if they're coming at you, they're not going to hire you if you're very nervous or if you're like, it seems like you're very desperate, right? But you also have to like kind of take a step back sometime and you have to kind of gauge like what's the overall vibe with the hiring team there. We've seen some people they move quickly. They're like, yeah, we can hire somebody within like 3 days, and then they end up on this call again back and 4 months later. It's because didn't have a game plan. So there's a lot of shitty companies to also be taking jobs at too. So like, why are you looking to leave your current company? Not looking to leave my current company. I applied to this position because I'm so excited about your mission. So watch this part again, and then when we upload the YouTube video, and then definitely mock it out with people. You guys should have like I would say a plan of taking the questions that we've asked here and actually mocking it with people here, and actually getting it down to the point where you guys are like rock solid. Susan Chang, who took this program a few years back, she's also on the influencer podcast too. She's like, you want to get down to the point where you can do this interview like in your sleep. Yeah, yeah. You want to get it down to the point where you can do it in your sleep because the person that's going to be the most. That's why I actually advocate for people to do more interviews with companies that they don't want to work at. Is because like when they actually do the real thing, they have to be like ready for it. And mock interviews are great, but like even if people are biologically wired to gain social approval from other people, that's actually why a lot of people don't want to get rejected. So even if it's a company that you don't want to work at, like the fact that it's a real interview, all of a sudden, like you flip the switch on, like all of a sudden you actually want this job that you don't even want anymore. And you have to like replicate that experience if you actually want to take on the roles at the bigger companies. Um, yep, that's the key to it. What's the best answer to give them if I was asked about a layoff? I bring this up at the end. Tell me about yourself question. Something along the lines that the company was restructuring and my role has been reduced. I honestly speaking, unless they ask about it, I wouldn't even talk about it. And especially right now when so many people are actually getting laid off in this business, I always focus on, one of the reasons actually why I left, one of the reasons why I actually left is because the company decided to go in a different direction. This is if they really grill you on it and uh the entire existing team was not a part of that vision. So you never want to like a layoff is like you never want to single yourself out as the only person. We used to ask that too in recruiting, which was like, well, how many people got laid off? It's like, only me. That wasn't a layoff. You were terminated. You know? Your whole team didn't get massacred. You were voted off the island. It's a different story. It was like, the company decided to go in a different direction, and unfortunately, pretty much most of the team was not part of that vision that they had. But you got to go ahead, and this is actually where the mock interviews is what you guys are all paying for, right? The mock interviews is so important. Of like, you guys have to get better at that transition of and the reason why I'm excited about this opportunity is because you actually have to look for things. Don't look for like what's their mission statement. Uh, don't look for things like their mission statement. Like look for things like what's going on with the company right now. What are some of the and that's actually why I tell people like, when I post up those postings on LinkedIn and on the Airtable, check it like the founder and the CEO roles, those are the best places to go after because they just got funding. If you can get funding in this market, like if you were popping as a restaurant during COVID in New York in December when it was still like mandatory outdoor dining, oh, those people did well after COVID too, right? So like, because they made it through the worst time. So if you can get funding right now, chances are you either have a really good business model or you have a connect in the government direct. Those are the only people that are actually surviving right now and thriving, right? So like I think those are like good roles to actually go after. Um, Also, don't be afraid to go and really follow up with interviews too that you guys are getting rejected from, going to the hiring manager and actually sending them a direct LinkedIn message. The people that are doing it are getting fantastic results. And a lot of people are feeling like, well, they rejected me. It's like, well, did you know that they actually did some due diligence before they rejected you? Especially if you know you're a good fit for the role, you should actually just go out there and have that extra level effort. You let me see this. When an interviewer starts a conversation with asking, tell me about yourself, is it best to just pivot and ask them those questions you mentioned, asking them about their problems, and then pitch myself with the relevant skills to solve their problems? 100%. Ask them about what their problems are, and more importantly, ask them what have they done to try to solve those problems. Like, you don't want to present solutions without understanding where they're at in their current game plan, right? And then you actually start telling them things that you know you can do and things that you actually know that you cannot do. You should never present yourself as the solution of all problems. You should actually present yourself as like, how would I find a solution? Because you know if your interview comes off too good, they're not going to want to hire you anyways because they think that you're lying. You also want to tell them like, okay, this is what I understand that now. This is what it is that I can do, and I've done this before in the past. This is what it is that I don't know how to do, but this is how I would go out there and learn it. They actually appreciate those types of answers more, especially if you have stern eye contact. Again, also role play, role play, role play. Um, that's also very, very important. Um, mm, Hang on. Okay, let me see here. Tony either went to prison or died. It doesn't matter that it cut to the block. Was that like, I don't know. I mean, I asked this thing with sincerity here. Was this a question or like poetry? All right, next question. I was like, that wasn't Tony either went to prison or died. It doesn't matter that it cut to the Huh. All right. Okay. Any recommendation on an AI used for mock interviews too? I saw a commercial in passing that the AI was a person question. I actually think like in terms, consider me old school. I think like the best thing to do is just actually get on the phone and just like talking to somebody. Oh, we tried using AI to do calls with people. Like they literally took like tons of calls that I did, popped it into that thing. Oh my gosh. I wish. I wish we had just the AI version of Rich. Then I'd just be chilling at the spa right now, getting steamed out. Like, yo, what up? This is Rich from Product Gym. How can I help you out today? And like, that'd be amazing. That'd be amazing. Instead of answering the same damn questions I have been for 8 years. Is it a one page or two-page resume? Just send no resume.
I guess I'm asking that about the AI because you said to try and do mocks once to twice a day, and I don't know that I have somebody available to
Oh,
that level.
yeah. I mean, AI would be, I would say, like, if you can, like, I would probably say, like, other things that you can do if you actually don't have the time to go out there and do mock interviews. I would just say mock yourself, and probably a much more effective method is actually um, recording yourself and then, like, actually hearing yourself. I
Okay.
actually have people do this, like, for every single call, too. When they do the salary negotiation, which is like I was like, number one, write down the number that you want. Number two, write down exactly like what is it that you plan to say. And then number three, actually say it into the recorder, listen to yourself, and then do it again. And then, and then I always get the pushback like, Rich, that's like you want an extra 30 to $50,000 pay bump. I mean, it makes no difference to me. I don't get a commission off of that anymore. So make a decision. Like, but like, if you hear yourself, you immediately would be able just do it one more time, do it one more time, do it one more time. So that's actually why like Lawrence and Sean was the quickest, I was like, do that mock interview, record it, post it up on YouTube for when you're putting yourself out there right now, that's where you have total accountability. That's why like, I'm coming in here, these calls, no matter what I was doing the night before. I'm coming in here focused, locked in, right? My competition's watching, prospective people that are looking to join Product Gym is watching. And now that puts us in 100% total accountability where we got to deliver results. people can't be seeing these calls and seeing people not get interviews and offers, right? Like, for 58 days straight. I mean, when I was living in New York, I can just get canceled just going to H Mart, getting some noodles. Like you gotta go out there and bring it. So I would say like the mock interviews, to get the best mock interview experience possible, what you want to do is you always want to go ahead and analyze yourself. That's the biggest thing, is analyze yourself. For me, for the past 8 years too, I would crush like recording 20, 30, 40 videos. And I'd rather do that. Like I'm literally like Little Wayne recording in the studio rather than watching my own YouTube video. And honestly, it would have just been easier for me to just watch my own YouTube videos, tell my team like, okay, from here to here, make it this, from here to here, make it this. But the performance has actually shot up since I started analyzing myself. And I'm actually working a lot less because I'm not like, constant like physically in that grind. So this is the part where people actually kind of have to work a little bit smarter, not like harder at it. More, but you got to kind of do a little bit of both. Um, Here's a YouTube short about explains what Rich has mentioned. Yeah, this was a great watch. Give me a second here. Yeah, watch all of our content. Watch it as many times as possible. In fact, just let that thing play while you guys are asleep. We need to rack up some watch hours right now. Let's watch that. Let that thing just play on. Play on. Anyways, Udie was a decent tool as a backup to record yourself, but I found it very choppy. Yeah. Most important thing is like you record yourselves and then like actually watch yourselves, just listen to yourself. And then you guys will actually go out there and see if you guys are able to do that. They do that for sales, they do that for sports as well. If you guys are ready, willing, and able to kind of take it to that level, for me, what I found to be very useful is actually not like, the friction point of like getting wildly better at like performance was not watching like picking a day where I'm gonna go ahead and like sit and watch myself do something, was more of like, I'll just have it playing while like, I'm doing like some work around the house. Because now it's just on, right? And then you don't have to like just look at it. You can just go out there and do some other stuff and just kind of let it zone out. I also like watch it and listen to it actually during like lunchtime. And just have that thing just play. So, yep. So to go ahead and kind of recap this. Okay, let me see here. What role do you play in what role do you play in product? Or can you elaborate on that question, Izzy?
Yeah, so the recruiter was asking, okay, all these great achievements you describe on your LinkedIn, on your resume, what role do you play? Do you play a leading role? Do you support? Do you execute? Do you draft the vision? I mean, I'm the
Give me
PM. I'm
one
the
quick second. One quick second. Hang on. 네, 뭐 혹시 뭐 10분만 5분만 기다릴 수 있어요? 예. 5분만. 네. 여기서 기다릴게요. 안에 기다릴 수도 괜찮은데요. 네, 5분. 네, 5분만요. Here to fix the internet because it's so mad choppy. Okay, now we're at the 5-minute shot clock. Okay, so what is the role do you play in the product work? Okay, please elaborate on that
Yeah,
question.
some context. The recruiter was asking, okay, for all this achievements you described in your self introduction, what kind of role do you play? Are you the leading? Are you leading the execution? Are you the executor? Like how do you like what is your role? Basically, she's asking. And I was like, okay, I'm the PM, I'm the leader for this team. I draft the vision, manage roadmap, etc., etc. But I wonder if there's a better way to answer this.
Got it. Okay, so when they're asking you a question like that, the better thing for you to go out there and ask is like, okay, so like what do you do when they're asking you a question like that? They're actually trying to go ahead and figure out like whether or not you are the right fit for them, obviously. So what you should ask is like, what you should actually let them know is we follow the framework here at Product Gym, which is like, it depends. It really depends on what role I need to go ahead and play that week where my team needs me the most. And I'll give you two examples. Last week, my team really needed me to play these two positions. Give them two examples. The previous week, I was able to put out there and play these two positions. And it really just depends on where I am needed most that week. And
Mhm.
to be honest, I haven't had 2 days where it was the exact same thing. There's always another problem that's coming up in another fire to go out there and put out. Let me go ahead and ask you this question right now, Izzy. Currently, right now, if I was to go ahead and start the position with you today, what role, what function would you need me to go out there and play?
I see.
Okay. Um, Actually, yeah. So, hang on, give me one quick second here. 네, 기사님, 죄송합니다. 제가 지금 회의하고 있는데요. 혹시 밖에서 기다리시면 안 될까요? 네, 죄송합니다. Uh, my parents said I would never learn this language. I would never make it in this country. Korean people would
By the
never
way,
take
are
me
you
as one of their
speaking
own. They also said Korean girls don't date Chinese guys. Actually, pretty hilarious. Every Korean girl I met here, they're like, my mom's always wanted me to marry a Chinese guy. And I was like, challenge accepted, mother. So to go ahead and wrap this thing up on a positive note, yeah, you hire it's hilarious. You hire a Korean tutor out there, and then they're going for, thanks to President Yoon's currency dump, they're now going for about $3.50 an hour. And then you go out there and you drill for like about 2 hours a day. Still working on it, Sean. But I did have a date on Valentine's Day. And craziest thing was like 25 minutes into the date. I was like freaking, I was like 10 minutes because there was like traffic. And then like 25 minutes into the date, because it was a restaurant I'd never been to. The whole menu was in Korean. I was like taking my time. She's like, I hate guys that are indecisive. And I was like, no, 35 minutes into the date. I was like, yeah, you did know that, because my friend hooked us. I was like, she told you I'm not Korean, right? She's like, get the fuck out. I was like, yeah, I thought you were Korean this whole time. I was like from here? She's like, no, from like New York. And I was like, no. And she's like, oh, you're way more interesting now. But anyways, practice makes perfect. More of the story. When they're asking you a question like that, you guys always want to go ahead and present always two examples, and you guys always want to go out there and flip it around. Very similar. How do you evaluate product design? Really depends. I was part of two projects recently, and for one project, they needed me to go. What we were trying to evaluate was this, and we decided to evaluate it based upon this methodology. For another for another initiative that I actually led, we were trying to test for this, and we utilized this methodology. Always present two examples because people like choices, so you're showing versatility. And then you always follow that up with, okay, so what do you need? How do you write product requirements documents? How would you write product requirements document for an engine? For me as, if we were to work together, I'm the tech lead here and I'm going to get promoted to VP of engineering next week. So this is an actual interview question somebody had actually about a few months ago. Well, it really depends, and I've actually worked with a few different engineering managers in my career. For one engineering manager, I actually wrote the product requirements this way because this is how they prefer to see it. For another tech lead that I worked with most recently in my current position, they wanted me to write this way. I find that I, you know, ultimately I'm writing the product requirements document for you. So how would you want me to write the product requirements document for you? People care about themselves. People don't give a shit about anybody else. We did how to transition to product management from finance at Den Social, Sean, years back. It's nothing but Asian people there. They don't give a shit. We got 40. such a waste of money on alcohol, but you know, I always make the best out of the situation. They don't care that we got 40 other Asian bros in finance a product manager job. They care if they're going to get a product manager job, right? It's like, oh yeah, I was like meeting people. I was like, oh, you're at JP Morgan. Hey, let me introduce you to this guy. I don't give a shit about him. I care about me. This happened with some random Chinese dude. Like we're all family and shit. I don't care. This guy could have got run over by a bus tonight. I won't give a shit about that. I care about me. That's the thing. I was like, oh, it's a great idea. We go out there, buy some alcohol. I can invite some of my friends over there. And we just get like 40, 50 people out there and introduce them. I was like, what are they going to say? Like, and you know what we found out? I was like, people did not give a shit. It's like, I don't care if you got the rest of Manhattan a product manager job. I care if I'm going to get a product manager job. So it's like we introduced them to like, you know, I lost count like 17 other people that got a PayPal. I want to know how I'm going to get a PayPal, you know? So you always like just make it about them. Yeah, so like I never ever like all of my other team members, when I tell them like if you show other people that we got a job for recently, I was like, that's what amateurs do. They want to know if they're gonna get a job. They don't care about anybody else. So what they're really trying to go out there and assess for is like, what role do you play in product? Is like, this is what I need. Are you going to be the person? Well, tell me what the hell you need so I can tell you whether or not I can go out there and do it. You have to go out there. In order for you to figure that out, you have to go out there and ask. Like product requirements document. I don't know if you guys saw that one live stream. I gave my niece like $100 to write a product requirements document. She's like 12. She went on ChatGPT and just grabbed $100 like that. Anybody can write a product requirements document now. It's not pre-ChatGPT era, right? They want to know if you can go out there and write it for them. It's always about them. I make it about them. Well, what do you need? Oh, okay, great. And how long have you been on the job hunt? People always come in here. How long has the project been around? How can you guys help me? Like, you know, like tell me about like, yeah, just tell me about all that. I was like, oh, okay. You know, what I really wanted to do is like, you know who you're talking to right now? You're talking to the product management guy himself, dude. But then I gotta go, okay, so where are you at in your interview process? How many interviews have you landed? The question that gets them hot is this. So what are you targeting salary-wise? Man, yeah, you're talking about my money now, right? So I was, you think I can get 220? Now you got their attention, right? Because now they're thinking to themselves like, okay, now we're talking about what's important to me, you know? I don't care. You don't really care about any of this other stuff. So like that's actually like you always want to make it about them, make it about them, make it about them. Yeah. Oh yeah. VPN, NordVPN works like a wonder. That's the best one. That's the one where you're guaranteed to get US Netflix. Not like Korean Netflix is not great. Korean Netflix, I think, is actually better than like, you know, US Netflix. But overall today, the mock interview call is concluded. We have so many more offers that are in the works right now that people have in the verbals. So all you guys have to do is just stay focused on the game plan. Make sure you guys are hitting your 50 to 100 rolls a day. It's pretty simple. Like try to do 2 mock interviews like a week and then rewatch the coaching calls. Everybody that rewatched the coaching calls, they actually like all of this knowledge makes no difference. So rewatch the coaching calls for all of these different questions and then go ahead and practice it with your fellow classmates here. And you know, you guys are going to get hit with these questions right now. So instead of thinking like how am I going to go out there and game like 20 questions, like how are we going to go ahead and actually do this? You know, same thing for me too. I have a wonderful Korean tutor. They had a very good game plan. This is actually why I hired them. They're like, so you want to learn Korean for dating 100%. Okay. So you're going to go ahead. This is what we're going to do. We're going to watch the show Singles Inferno and we're going to cut out all of the dating scenes and we're going to make a list of 50 questions. I was like, bro, keep talking. You know, I was like, I'm gonna make a list of the 50 questions. Like, what do you do? We got to get an intro. He's like, can you explain what product management is in like Korean? I was like, I don't give a shit. It's like, all right, we're just gonna say you're an AI consultant. They don't know what product management is either, right? So it's like, you're gonna make a list of questions. You're gonna make a list of responses. She's like, Korean girls love like, you know, what's her MBTI? So we're gonna have to explain that, right? Oh, I feel much more confident about where we're going with this game plan here, coach. So yeah, it's like I don't need somebody to tell me like Sam had a dog, Sam bought an apple. I don't care about apples. I only need to know enough to go out there and game one dinner interaction. That's it. Largely here, you know, we got a very clear game plan going. So that's all we got to do. That's all there is. They just need to know that. Next week's call is going to be how to deliver a killer product manager interview, assessing the big reasons why people don't want to go ahead and hire you, and get ready for that. I'm going to make a YouTube video for that before the call. Watch it so we can actually just do some live stuff here. But everybody's homework assignment, watch the call again, tag interview partners. I want to go ahead and actually see people, you know, make yourself accountable and actually just put it up there. Like, that's why like YouTube right now made me so much more accountable. Like, you guys have to be accountable to it, you know? So I want to see, did people actually get calls done? Yeah, you know, Sean, man, we're waiting for you to come through. Okay, so where do we access the recording? The recording is going to actually be uploaded on YouTube. Okay. Okay, Plexi, let's go ahead and actually use this as the YouTube title. Tell Claire, behavioral mock product management group mock interview coaching. That's the title, Plexi, because I'm going to drop. Yeah, I do like 5 calls a day, eat lunch until the point I can throw up, come back home, take a nap, eat dinner, go to the gym, and then do some calls in New York, and then wake up and do the next shit again, all over again. So I'm not gonna tell Plexi later. So also know how lazy you are too. I'm the freaking laziest person you'll ever meet. All right, fam, let's get some offers. Okay, let's talk to you guys on next week. Thank you.